Now, I would like to welcome to the KK Factor someone who's not only made history, but continues to inspire generations with her strength, intelligence, and heart. Eugenia Mitrakas, the principal EMR Mitrakas, who has just been recognised as one of Australia's Lawyer Elite Women 2025, celebrating over 50 years of trailblazing service to the legal professional. Welcome, Eugenia, once again to the KK Factor, the Greek EuroBeat show right here on RPPFM. I'm sorry, I sent you that link really late, but I've got you now. Can you hear us okay?
Thank you, Rula. I'm very honoured to be on your show tonight.
Thank you very much. We've all been waiting patiently for you. That was my fault, so I do apologise.
I changed it once too. I also changed it once, so we're even.
Okay, done. Eugenia, your journey is nothing short of remarkable. Now, back in 1972, you became the first Greek female solicitor in Australia, opening up your own practice in South Melbourne just months after your admissions. Since then, your career has been defined by over-wavering excellence and community spirit, especially within Melbourne's vibrant Greek community. Can you take us back to 1972 and tell us how that journey had started? Did you ever imagine your path would lead to such an international recognition?
I'd like to make one small correction.
Please.
All newspaper articles, mainstream and Greek have always said that I was the first, but I wasn't. I was the third.
Okay, well, whether you're the first, second, or third, that's still good.
Practice. I think it was an accidental career in the law. I wanted to be a doctor.
Wow.
And the reason why I wanted to be a doctor, my dad migrated to Australia before the rest of us, a village with 3 young children. And I gathered before preschool that there was a sadness in her. And I thought to myself, maybe if I become someone worthy, and my mother would smile and not be so sad. And so I looked around to decide what to become. And there was the teacher, and I thought I was too clever to be a teacher. There was the priest, and I had a major disadvantage. And then when the doctor visited the village, he was God. So I decided to become a doctor. And all my report cards up till year 11 noted doctor as my intended occupation.
Wow.
And then my dad came along and convinced me to change. And I changed, and I don't regret it.
Wow. That is such an amazing and inspiring.
Space.
Say that again. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
Sorry, I didn't hear that bit.
Your father must be so proud.
He passed away some time ago.
I'm sorry.
But it took a long time for him to say, bravo. He always felt I could do better.
As a father would.
Yeah. And he never said to me, I'm proud of you, but you could tell by his actions. And I think the first time that my mother hinted that it was proud was in 1988 after I had staged the first conference in Greece.
Wow.
And there was a concurrent conference then of journalists from Australia. And they were having a radio program every morning, and they were interviewing me every morning. And when I came home, my mother said to me, oh, you should have seen your dad every morning. He was running out and getting to the radio, getting onto his transistor to listen to you. And she said, he was so proud.
That is so beautiful. That's okay, but you still found out, and that's beautiful. That's a remarkable story. Eugenia, staying back in that era, was it easy? Were there barriers? Did you encounter any barriers trying to become a lawyer back then? And have things actually changed today when you look back at when you started your career?
Well, where I did my articles of clerkship, I did find discrimination amongst the clients. I think the very first client that I had, I was introduced as a young lawyer, and he looked at me and said, I can't talk to her. She's not a lawyer. And the principal says, but she is. He said, she can't be. She's a woman.
Oh, wow.
And,
She's a
and refused
woman.
to have anything to do with me. And I actually went into my own practice 5 months after being admitted, which was very brave. Everybody told me I was crazy, but I felt that I had the confidence, and I had worked at that firm of solicitors all my summer vacations 5 years. So I had, chalked up about 15 months of
Wow.
experience. I mean, it would not be allowed today.
No, that's
I got
exactly
away
right.
with it, but I worked hard.
Look, for more than 5 decades, you've guided families through everything from migration, property law, to cross-border legal matters between Australia and Greece. You practiced in England and Wales and was appointed a notary public by the Archbishop of Canterbury. That's so impressive. How do you remember that moment?
But the Archbishop,
Yes.
oh, well, I've got a huge,
Being appointed a notary public by the Archbishop of Canterbury,
um,
that's not a small thing.
I wish I could have it here, but it's the parchment's too large. It is about a metre square, and it's framed with glass on both sides, and it has the Archbishop's seal. Um, I think that it was quite impressive. The system's changed now.
So it's all
So
different.
all new notaries get a A4 piece of paper with a red seal. Well, not quite the Archbishop.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've read that you were the first woman to be elected to the Council of the Law Institute of Victoria and the first to chair Victoria's Legal Admissions Board. Is that correct, what I read?
Yes, I was also the first ethnic solicitor and the
Oh, there
first
you
sole
go.
practitioner. But it was so
Breaking
funny.
barriers,
Let me tell you,
long.
I'll tell you a funny story.
Tell us.
Shortly after I was elected, we were having a weekend conference of council in Mildura,
Yeah.
and John Fain was there, who was then at the Fitzroy Legal Service, not at the ABC. And he went up to the president and said that the Law Institute is not representative. John had tried to get elected and didn't get elected. And he said, you don't have any women, you don't have any ethnic solicitors, you don't have any sole practitioners, you don't have any suburban solicitors. And the president turned around and said, we represent all those minorities.
Wow.
And he said, who are they? And he pointed to me.
How good is that?
That was before his ABC days.
Well, yeah, and it was also before it was fashionable to do so, correct?
Yeah.
Now that's breaking barriers. That is so good, Eugenia. It's so nice for you to be able to reflect back at that difference to where we are today. Now, I'd like to
Go back to your
mention
original question. Did I find any
barriers.
barriers? Up until last year, I didn't really talk about the barriers I faced from the Greek community. But last year, my old school, Macrobertson Girls High School, their students became what you're doing now, and they were doing podcasts, and they had a program called Be Like Her Macrob.
How long ago was this?
Last year.
Oh, last year, sorry.
I mean, just 12 months ago.
Yeah, sorry.
For International Women's Day 2024.
Okay.
And they interviewed me, and that was the very first question they asked me.
Oh, that's great, isn't it?
It really, yeah. The girls at Macrob are brilliant, and they were probably the toughest interview I've ever faced. 3 of them firing questions at me.
Wow.
And I got that question and I thought, I'm going to answer this honestly. And I did. And I said to them, and honestly, no, I didn't face any barriers or discrimination among mainstream and amongst the legal profession. And I said, the only discrimination that I faced was in my own Greek community.
Oh, no way.
Yes, I did, yeah.
Would you think that the Greek community would be so proud?
Well, I think the Greek community was proud on the one hand, but there was a lot of them who wouldn't go to a female, like the example I gave before. And then I remember one of the local doctors came to see me one day lunch to have coffee with me, and I was still seeing clients, and he waited in the waiting room, and he sort of detected the way the male clients were treating me. And as soon as they left, and he said, look, didn't like the way they spoke to you, the way they looked down at you, the way they yelled at you, and they wouldn't have done that if you were male.
Yeah, that is so true.
Yeah.
I mean, we see this today. It's getting a little bit better now, but let's say pre-COVID times, we saw that in Parliament with women as well.
But even now, you notice I still see discrimination amongst our own community. Like you'll have, I'll give you an example. 2 weeks ago, we had the Deputy Foreign Minister, and I was invited to a function. That was the first function I've been invited by the consulate in 15 years.
Wow.
I don't
That's unbelievable, considering your history.
Yeah, exactly.
Think that you would have been invited to a lot more of these events.
Exactly. I don't go pushing, lobbying. I don't self-promote. Never had to. And if you don't self-promote, they ignore you. That's a form of discrimination.
It is. I was having a similar conversation with a friend of mine the other day, actually. And I said to her, I think we can say on one hand that the men are domineering in certain areas, but then if you look on the other hand, women have a choice because they can also vote to be elected. They've got to also put their names out. They've got to stand out. They've got to stand tall and say, hey, I'm here. I want to be part of this. And I guess if women haven't got that confidence, then it appears that men are still dominating a certain area, which I don't agree with. I mean, let's look a classic example. We have the board of directors now for the Greek community of Melbourne. It's a really great balance of males and females. And yet, is it because the females are too busy doing things? You'll see a majority of the males out there promoting the Greek community of Melbourne and standing for the Greek community of Melbourne. You see Anthea Sideropoulos a lot, but you don't see the rest of them. And, I'm not going to be one to say that the women are told, stay home, because no, you've been elected. You wanted to be a part of this. So is it that the women have to have confidence and say, hey, I'm going to be part of that event as well, so you make sure I've got a chair there because I'm also elected on the board?
I have a view about the Greek community. I've sort of studied it a bit.
It's getting much better now.
Well, no, not really. One of the first discrimination I faced was in 1970, and it was the men that I described in my talk at the Greek community last year on the early years of the establishment of Pronia, and I described them as the men in grey suits.
Okay.
And I was going to say mainly grey hair, but I was told not to leave it out. I conceived the idea of the introduction of modern Greek when I was a student at University of Melbourne. And I did a feasibility study in 1969. And then in 1970, by the time I completed the feasibility study, and I held 2 public meetings at the university, and there's a young female in the late teens, early 20s, barely looking 15, and I had politicians, all the press, the dean of the arts faculty and other academics there eating out of my hands, and I lobbied the Vice Chancellor, approved in principle, then exams came. The Vice Principal told me if it was introduced, it would be part of the classics department. And the following year, I did classics. I did a liberal arts degree.
Okay.
I did classics and politics. One of my classics lecturers got in touch with me and asked me to join with him in a fundraising campaign to raise the funds in the Greek community, because the Vice Chancellor told me that they would only introduce modern Greek if we raised the money.
Okay.
It was then $500,000. In the end, we only raised 200, and instead of a chair, we stopped at a lectureship. There was a conference to debate the whole introduction held at the Savoy Hotel in Little Collins Street. And it was an Australia-wide conference, and there were about 150 delegates, and I was the only student. And I was elected on the committee under the leadership of the University of Melbourne, and my name appeared on the letterhead. It said University of Melbourne, and the committee was named. And the rest of them were all the men in grey suits.
Wow.
There were 3 past presidents of the Greek community. All the Greek press was represented. And one of my tutors in classical Greek was on it, the only young person, and the president was my lecturer.
Wow.
A year later, or 2 years later, there was this takeover of the committee by the church, and then the men just dropped me off the list.
Oh, wow.
And, my lecturer took, the president took sabbatical, and they was just strapped up for nothing. And I was sort of wondering what's going on. And then the day the funds were raised and the handover check was handed over, I was in the city, late night shopping, introduced by FATOCOR. And while shopping, I ran into Anna Matthews, the matron. You're probably too young to have known Anna Matthews, but she was quite a personality and a great volunteer. And I said, I know you shopping as well. And she said, no, I'm going to the Greek community. And I said, what's going on? What's on? She said, I'm going to the handover ceremony for the modern Greek. They're handing over the check tonight. Well, can you imagine what I did? I was devastated. So I went home and had a nice bonfire with my file.
It's so wrong, isn't it?
Yeah, and that was done to me by the Greek community. That's why I said to me.
But this is, let's just remind the audience here, we're talking years ago. We're not talking about now.
We're talking about 1972.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate that to the audience. Now, before we continue, I've got Bravo Eugenia, congratulations to your achievements by Alex Lutsides. Presbyteria Irene, Father George's wife, and another lawyer, another colleague of yours. She said, very inspiring. Congratulations, Eugenia Mitrakas. God bless. Now, based on this whole story that we're talking right now about, I want to mention to the audience that you are, and obviously it makes a lot of sense, a fierce advocate for equal rights, pay equity and flexible work, mentoring generations of young lawyers, and you sponsored the annual legal prize at McRobertson's Girls High School. Not to mention your leadership has helped direct over $500,000 in charitable donations from international legal, medical conferences, and you've been part of your lifelong dedication, which has earned you the Medal of Order of Australia and international honours for your pro bono work. How do young Australian women following in your steps achieve such a recognition, Eugenia?
I think resilience, hard work, determination, and lots of sacrifices. Like my parents, we had a fish and chip shop, and the usual stories, but my story was more unusual. I used to get up in the morning. I had a push bike, and when the fish market was in Flinders Street, I used to ride my push bike and purchase the orders for fresh fish.
Wow.
We had the fish shop for 17 years. I peeled every potato that came into the fish shop for 17 years. Even in the last 5 years when I was running a successful legal practice. And my parents had boarding houses. There were 3 of them. I was the only one who cleaned them. Wow. And I ran the fish shops in the evening and all weekends.
Wow.
And if you're working that hard and studying, you've got resilience, you're tough enough.
You're born tough. You're born into that environment.
Yeah.
You've got no choice. And I mean, even talking about the word resilience, I'm being trained on resilience this last 18 months. Since COVID, there's a lot of things that have come out and a lot of stuff, depending on the organisation whom you work for. The one that I work for is very big on mental health, and I'm one of the mental health champions there. So we do get trained a lot about to be resilient because of change and things that can happen to us unexpectedly.
Let me tell you about mental health. I introduced a lot of things when I was on the Law Institute Council, and one of them was law care. And I did that in conjunction with Professor Graham Burrows, who was the Professor of Psychiatry at the University of Melbourne and Deputy Chairman of the Greek conferences. And he suggested and he proposed a model, and I put it through council. And we set it up, and we had a counsellor working part-time, and solicitors who were having trouble with mental health and stress could ring and talk to him on a confidential basis. And we ran it for quite a few years, and then it phased out till COVID because, for lack of numbers, I think the members were reluctant. They didn't trust the confidentiality. But I introduced it in the 80s.
Wow. Okay, let's move on from that one. That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah. Now, recently you received, because I'm dying to get to this, you received one of the highest honours from the Centre of, now I'm hoping I'm going to say this correctly, Ecumenical Hellenism in Athens, recognising decades of service that you put in for
the Foundation of Hellenism.
Thank you. And it was put in for the Global Hellenic Diaspora. This award, presented during the Centre's 40th anniversary at the Historic War Museum, highlighted your tireless dedication to both law and the Greek Australian community while standing alongside greats like Archbishop Ieronymos, did I say that correctly in a second? Yep. Yeah. And the honorary president, Mimi Denissi, which reminds us of how powerful our shared heritage truly is. Now, Eugenia, congratulations on that incredible recognition from the Centre. How did it feel standing in Athens, receiving this honour in front of such distinguished guests?
Well, I didn't look at them. I had to get up and give a speech, and the special guests were in the front row. Mimi and the Archbishop and the other guests.
Yeah.
And then I was in the second row on the end, and because I was receiving the highest award, I was the last one to be called up. And I think I was the only one who wasn't educated in Greece. And all the others, like there was a doctor who had studied medicine in Athens and worked in Athens until she was 30, and then went to work in London. So she got up and she made the most amazing speech in Greek. And then they all followed, and their Greek was amazing. And I thought, I can't get up and read my miserable little speech. I'll be made a fool. So thank God I used the time factor. And at the end, I got up and I said, look, in view of the time, I'd like to thank everybody. Thank you all for coming. I won't bore you with a long speech.
Let's just move on from the speech.
Thank you for the great honour. Thank you for coming. Thank you.
You know what? Sometimes we do get caught unaware like that, and I get it. I must say I am improving vastly on my Greek, but I do get it. Kostaki says, congratulations, Eugenia. God bless you. Tony says, congratulations, Eugenia. God bless and keep up your amazing work. Lovely. Alex went back to say you were working at Fish and Chips while my parents used to own a cafenio in the 70s. My brother and I used to help my parents. And Presbyteria Irene says, your name explains it all, Eugenia. Well born or noble.
Now I know. I know.
Thank you so much, Irene.
Thank you.
Being honoured in Greece must have been deeply emotional. Okay. What does your Hellenic identity mean to you after so many years represented it abroad?
Thank you.
Did you hear me then? I think you must have cut out.
No, I didn't hear the end, no.
That's okay. So you were honoured in Greece.
Yeah.
And that must have been very emotional for you. What does your Hellenic identity mean to you after so many years representing it abroad?
Well, I felt actually it was quite emotional in the sense that I complained about the Greek community before.
That's
and
okay, but
it was Greece that actually gave me the highest award.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, when I came back with a honorary vice president of the foundation, that's what I got. And everybody then started to look at me. And everybody wants to have part, but I'm still the same person.
No, you're not
I
going to
haven't done
change.
anything different. I'm still working hard for the community.
Yeah. Look, it was mentioned that award had represented not just your work, but the unity of the Greek Australian community. Can you tell us what representing community means to you? Sorry?
Do you want me to show you the award?
Yes, absolutely.
It's very similar to what I gave my speakers at the last conference.
Show us. Oh, I love it. Oh, I love it. And the gold leaves and the representing the olive tree. Wow. Συγχαρητήρια πάλι.
And I'll show you something else.
Go on.
What Australasians have done.
Up. Oh, I love it. Now a little bit higher. Back. Go back. Up. There we go. Oh my goodness, that is so good, Eugenia. That is so good.
Okay, that's it.
That's it.
Show and tell's over.
Show and tell. Oh my gosh. Okay. When asked how you would like to be remembered, I read this under the National Greek Herald. You said, as a lawyer who devoted her life to serving the disadvantaged and the legal profession. Now, what do you hope your legacy inspires in future generations, especially the young Greek Australians?
Okay, I think you've read the article.
Yes, I did. Yeah, I got that from the Greek Herald.
I'll transgress a little bit. I was admitted as a solicitor on the 1st of March 1972.
Right.
And after the admission, the Sun photographer came up and said, "Oh, can I take a photo of you?" So he took a photo. I flashed a big smile. And then he said, "Oh, you probably won't be there, but I couldn't resist photographing you. You had a nice smile," because I was sent here to photograph one of the judge's sons.
Okay.
And so I said, "It's okay." I smiled. And then that evening, we're having a little celebration at home. Phone rings. And he said, "Oh, we've just developed the photo. It looks fabulous. We want to run with an article." So I got a full page 3 in the Sun and an article, and they did an interview over the phone. And what they asked me, what do I want to achieve? And I said, I really want to work. And I called the people that I wanted to help downtrodden. And what I meant by that is the underprivileged. And I'll go back to what I said in the Australasia article. I want to be remembered as someone who really did work hard for the underprivileged, our community and women.
I love it. Eugenia, Tony also says, wow, absolutely amazing. Congratulations again. Keep it up. Mrs. Mary Kalambaris says, congratulations, Eugenia, on all your achievements. And she's sending out her love to you.
Thank you.
She's listening into the conversation. Thank you, Mary. What's next for you, Eugenia? I mean, are there any projects or causes you're particularly passionate about continuing to support?
I'm now working on my swan song.
On your swan song?
Yeah, I've got one of them, yeah.
So we've got another skill set.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, beautiful. Can we have a little glimpse of that?
In my village where I was born. And there is a house, a huge house next to my house in the village that belongs to the village that is absolutely stunning.
What village are you from?
Anemotia.
And whereabouts in Greece is Anemotia?
Lesbos.
In Lesbos.
Mytilene. Yes. Yeah. And I would like to have that restored and convert to a luxury boutique hotel. It has a big block of land. Then I'm happy to donate them mine so they can join them together.
That is such a good idea.
And there's another school that my parents went to, a most beautiful stone building. and I'm working to convert that into a winter meeting room.
Yeah.
And
with a huge fireplace.
And a museum. The school that I went to in the village, there's a group of young professionals who've restored that. And that's on the main road. It's a stunning building. So that's put to use for festivals in summer.
I love that idea. That's a great project. And I'd like to create more awareness around that. When you start having it happening down there, let us know. Let's promote it. Let's talk about it live on air. I would really be on it. I'd be on it too. Eugenia, for those working hard to make a difference in their own communities, what message would you like to share with those listeners tonight?
Well, I think if you dream and work hard, you can achieve it. I think hard work makes the difference. I mean, to get elected on the Law Institute Council, the person who nominated me, I think he tried to get me to nominate a year earlier, and he was the vice president, and he rang me and said, "I've nominated you. You have half an hour to get," and I've had 2 people second your nomination. You have half an hour to get to the Law Institute and accept the nomination, because they close at 5 p.m. I'll leave it up to you. So I decided to get in my car and sign the acceptance of a nomination. And then that same person counselled me as to how to lobby. And he said, "You've got to lobby." And he said, when the voting ballot sheet comes out, he said, write the whole week out of your diary. And he told me what to do. And he said, "You've got to ring everybody. And when they've got the ballot sheet on the desk, not a week later when they've thrown it out, because the ballot sheets are out for about a month."
That's right.
And and then I'd been on the young lawyers for a couple of years, so I knew the country lawyers, and every country suburban solicitor rang me for my policies, and then they distributed a memo to their members: "Vote for Eugenia."
That's it. Vote for Eugenia.
Yeah, and my friend told me how to tell them to vote. There were 11 people on the ballot sheet, and he said, "If they're your friends, tell them to just put one, not to vote for anybody else, because that counted for 11 votes."
Well,
if they went and put, like our ballots, 1 to 11, you're only going to get 1 vote. But if they only put 1, it counted for 11.
That's right.
So he explained the process. So I would have made thousands of phone calls. But hard work and good policies and ambition.
That's it. You know what? You're an absolute powerhouse. You're a pioneer, you're a mentor, and a woman who's shown us what true leadership truly looks like. And I thank you for sharing your story live on the KK Factor, on the Greek EuroBeat show on RPPFM, the Voice of the Peninsula Radio 98.7, 98.3. Eugenia, thank you so much. And we look forward to speaking to you in the near future. We want to know about the projects and how they're all progressing. And if there's anything we can do to assist in any other area, creating awareness or a charity that you sponsor, please reach out.
Okay. I'll come to you when I launch the Greek projects.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Την αγάπη μας. Καλή συνέχεια.
Ευχαριστώ.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye, Eugenia. And that was the awesome Eugenia Mitrakas. So happy that she came on live. An amazing story that she shared about her past, her present, and in moving forward, how she sees everything and what her new projects are going to look like. We're very honoured to have her. Okay.